Hello students, today we are going to discuss about next topic of this chapter and that is gymnosperms. So first of all let me see what is a gymnosperms. So gymnosperms, the word gymnos is coming from naked. Okay, and sperms means seeds. Gymnos means naked and sperm means seeds. Means here in this case of gymnosperms, seeds will be naked without any covering, and such plants in which ovules are not enclosed by an ovary, okay, and without any ovary wall surrounding the seeds, and remain exposed before and after fertilization, and such a group of plants will be considered as a gymnosperms. So let me repeat, what is a gymnosperms? Gymnosperms are the plants in which the ovules are not enclosed by an ovary wall, okay, and remain exposed before and after the fertilization, okay, and seeds that develop post fertilization are not covered by any layer, and that's why here written naked seeds. Okay, like here you can see the examples. This is the cycas, and here you can see cycas ovules. It is totally naked, not covered with any type of ovary wall. Okay, and here also you can see clearly. So here in this diagram you can clearly get the idea what is the difference between gymnosperms and angiosperm ovule. Okay, so in gymnosperm, as I told you, this ovary will be totally naked. But here, in case of angiosperm, this ovary will be covered with some layers. Okay, so ovary wall will be present in case of angiosperm, and here gymnosperm ovary wall is not present. That is a clear-cut difference between gymnosperm and angiosperm, and both are included in the flowering plants. Okay, both are flowering plant and included into the higher group of plants. So let me start with the gymnosperm, and here you can see the comparison of the gymnosperm ovule and angiosperm ovule. So this is the basic difference between gymnosperm ovule and angiosperm ovule. So gymnosperm will include medium-sized trees or tall trees and the shrubs. Here you can see, okay, this is the large size tree, okay, and the gymnosperm sequoia, that is a giant redwood. Why it is called giant redwood? You can see here large size plant is there. Okay, so here in this case, in the case of a gymnosperm, medium size to tall trees and a shrub may be also included. Okay, so this is one unique example of a gymnosperm, and that is a sequoia. This one is the plant which is the sequoia, and that is considered as a giant redwood. Okay, and it is the tallest tree on the world, in the world we can say. Okay, so the gymnosperm sequoia, that is considered a giant redwood, okay, is the tallest tree species on the world. Mostly in gymnosperm, the roots are taproot systems. Okay, so here you can see the root system, that it mostly generally taproot system in case of a gymnosperm. And sometime what happen, these roots may be associated, mutually associated with the fungus. Okay, so roots in some genera will associated with the fungus. Okay, and such a form, whenever the root is associated with the fungus, here you can see clear idea. Okay, root associated with the fungus, here also you can see. Okay, so if roots are associated with the fungus, and that association or a formation is called mycorrhiza. Okay, so here you can see mycorrhizal sort roots. Okay, what is the meaning of mycorrhiza? As I told you, here roots will be associated with the fungus, mutually associated with the fungus. Okay, so here myco means fungus, rhiza means roots. So fungus and root both live together and get benefit from each other, and such association is called mycorrhiza, and such is found in the case of pinus. This is one kind of a gymnosperm. So this is the example in which you can observe mycorrhiza. Some plants which included into the gymnosperms like a cycas. Okay, so here you can see Cycas revoluta. This is the example of a Cycas revoluta. You can see the picture having a small specialized roots. Okay, here you can see small specialized root, and that is a carolloid roots. Okay, and they may be associated with nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria. Okay, so here nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria may be present. So previously we have discussed about mycorrhiza, that is association with the fungus, with the roots and fungus, right? So here association of roots, in case of a cycas, you can observe association of roots with the nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria. And here you can see, and such a roots is considered as a carolloid roots. Gymnosperms will have true roots, true stem and true leaves. Okay, so already we have discussed about roots of the gymnosperm and what is the association with the roots, okay, in previous slides. So now let me discuss about stem of a gymnosperms. Okay, so here in case of a gymnosperm, stems are unbranched, such in the case of a cycas, or maybe sometime it may be branched. Okay, so if unbranched, example is a cycas, and if it is a branched, then example is a pinus and cedrus. Okay, so here you can see cedrus and this one is the pinus. So leaves are simple. Now let me discuss about leaves. So leaves are simple, okay, or a compound. We will learn in detail what is a simple leaves and what is a compound leaves in detail in chapter number 5. Okay, so but here you must remember what is the leaves. Okay, so leaves are simple and compound. We will learn in detail what is a simple leaf and what is a compound leaf in chapter number 5. Okay, so just remember what kind of leaves here. Okay, they are well adapted to withstand extreme temperature, humidity and wind. They are designed in such a manner that they can withstand with the extreme temperature, even with the humidity and wind. Okay, and in cycas, here you can see this is cycas leaf. Okay, and that is considered as a pinnate leaf. Okay, like feather, it is look like a feather, and that side is look okay. Side is a pinnate leaves. Okay, and will be persist for a few years. Even for the few years it can persist. So such a leaf you can see here, feather like leaf, is called pinnate leaves. Okay, and next is a conifers. So example is a pinus. Whenever this cone like structure is formed, such a plant are called conifers. Pinus, cedrus. Okay, and the needle like leaves, here you can see needle like leaves. Okay, in case of a pinus, reduce the surface area. Why such a formation of a needle like leaf? Because it will reduce the surface area. The thick cuticle and sunken stomata also help to reduce the water loss. We will learn in detail what is the cuticle and sunken stomata in chapter number 5. Okay, so there's thick cuticle and sunken stomata also help to reduce the water. So now let me discuss about reproduction in gymnosperms. Okay, so gymnosperms are heterosporous. You know very well now what is a heterosporous. We have already discussed in detail in last lecture. Okay, so what is a heterospore and what is a homosporous, you know very well now. Okay, so gymnosperms are a heterosporous. Okay, and they will produce haploid microspore, and you very well know what is a microspores and megaspores. Okay, so female related structures are called megaspore and male related structures are called microspore. So be very clear here. Okay, they will produce a haploid, microspore and megaspore. Some leaves are modified into sporophyll. You know this terminology already. We have already discussed in last lecture what is a sporophylls, microsporophyll and megasporophylls. Okay, so some leaves are modified into the sporophyll. They are compactly and spirally arranged along an axis from the legs. Okay, you know very well what is a stobulus or a cons. We have these all terminology we have already discussed in last lecture. Okay, so correlate with that. So arrange along the axis and to form legs and strobili, and also it is called cons. So you know very well sporophylls will bear sporangia. We have already discussed in last lecture how sporophyll will bear sporangia, in which you know very well now spore will be formed. Okay, so sporangia are responsible for the spore production. Here you can see this whole structure is called male con. Okay, this is cycas male con. Here you can see this whole structure is a male con. Okay, in which you can see this is the microsporophyll. These structures are microsporophylls. Inside which you can see this is the microsporangium. This one. Okay, inside the microsporangium there is a microspore genesis. Okay, or a microspore will be formed, and such a microspore is considered as a pollen grain. Okay, so this you can see this is a male con or a longitudinal section of a male con. Okay, so all of you very clear what is the responsibility of a sporophyll? It will bear sporangia and it will form spores. Okay, and sporophylls are two types. Okay, sometimes sporophylls may be of two kinds. Microsporophyll, that is containing with the microspore. Okay, and megaspore, which is responsible for the production of a megaspore. This microspore is actually male spores. Okay, and megaspore is actually female spores. So let me see here. This is a female cone. This whole structure is a female cone, and here LS or longitudinal section of an ovule. Okay, in which you can see some structures. We will learn in detail. Okay, so these are the ovules here you can see. Okay, megasporophyll is there, and here ovules. So now let me understand more and in detail about the microsporophyll in case of a gymnosperms. So they are arranged to male stabili. You can understand this whole structure is called cone, and synonym for the cone is a stabilus. Okay, and here you can understand all sporangium which is formed is a microsporangium, and that's why it is called male stabili. So what is a male stabili? Male stabili is the stabili or a cone on which only microsporangia is formed. Okay, so they will bear microsporangia that is responsible for the male sporogenesis. Okay, and the microspore develop into the male gametophyte. You know very well. Okay, in last lecture we have already discussed that this microspore is responsible for the formation of a male gametophyte. Okay, and it is highly reduced and confined to only a limited number of cells. Okay, and these gametophyte is now called pollen grain. As I told you, this will call pollen grain. The pollen grain are developed within the microsporangia. This microsporangia is responsible for the development of a pollen grain. So next is a megasporophyll. Let me discuss in detail. They are arranged to female stabili. Why it is called female stabili? Because here only megasporophyll will be there. Okay, so here if megasporophyll is only there, then it is considered as a female stabili or a macrosporangiate or a megasporangiate. Okay, and they will consider, they will bear megasporangia. Why it is bearing only megasporangia? Because it is only responsible for the formation of ovules. Okay, and that's why here only ovules will be formed. Here you can see ovules will be only formed, and ovule is not covered with any type of ovary wall. Okay, and that's why we are consider them as a gymnosperm. Gymnosperm itself meaning that the ovary do not have any type of covering surrounding them. Okay, ovary wall is totally not there, means totally absent, and that's why here it is considered naked ovules. The ovules will be naked. Now this megasporangium mainly consists of a body, and that is called nucellus. Okay, this megasporangium mainly consists of a body, and that is called nucellus. Okay, and it is protected by envelope. Okay, so you can get the idea. This megasporangium is mainly consists of a body. You can see the diagram. Okay, and it consists of a, here you can see megasporangium, this one. Okay, and it is mainly consists of this structure. Okay, and this body is having a nucellus. It is protected by envelope. This is surrounding envelopes. Okay, here you can see all envelope. Okay, so the megaspore mother cell that is responsible for the formation of a megaspore. Okay, you know mother cell is responsible, means in the meiosis will occur in the mother cell, and as a result of that megaspore will be formed. And such a cell in which meiosis will occur, and as a result of that megaspore is formed, it is called megaspore mother cell. So the megaspore mother cell is differentiated from a cell of the nucellus. So this one here is the nucellus layer, and it will be differentiate the megaspore mother cell, and finally this megaspore mother cell will produce megaspore. Megaspore mother cell undergoes meiosis and to form 4 megaspore, and you know very well whenever any cell undergoes meiosis it will form 4 cells. Right, you have already learned in chapter 10 of the syllabus. One of the megaspore enclosed within the megasporangium or a nucellus. Here you can see this is the structure of a nucellus. This one is a nucellus, thick layer. Okay, and that is called megasporangium, and inside which megaspore will be enclosed, and it will develop into multicellular female gametophyte. Okay, that will bear 2 or more archegonia. Okay, here you can see this structure is a archegonia. Here you can observe 2 archegonia inside that. Okay, maybe 2 or more than 2 may be there. The multicellular female gametophyte is also retained within the megasporangium. So afterward, multicellular female gametophyte also there inside the megasporangium. This whole structure is called ovule. Okay, this is the longitudinal section of an ovule, and you can see the all parts of this ovule. Sometime in case of a gymnosperm, what happen? A male or a female cones may be born on a same tree. Okay, and the same tree it may be born or maybe on the different trees. And this is the example in which you can see Pinus is the example in which male and female cones born on the same tree. Okay, and Cycas is the example on different trees the male and female cone will be born. Okay, so you have to remember this example. What is this example? Pinus having male and female cone on the same tree, whereas in case of a cycas, male and female cone will be on different trees. Okay, so unlike bryophytes and pteridophyte, in gymnosperm, the male and the female gametophyte do not have any independent free living existence. So be very clear here. Okay, what is the difference here? Bryophyte and pteridophyte in the gymnosperm. So unlike bryophyte and the pteridophyte in the gymnosperm, the male and the female gametophyte do not have any independent free living existence. So here in case of a gymnosperm, you cannot observe male and the female gametophyte as a independent or free living existence. Okay, this is the difference then if you compare it them, means if you compare gymnosperm with the bryophyte or a pteridophyte. Okay, and they remain within the sporangia written on the sporophyte. The pollen grain, or also we can say it as a male gametophyte, will release from the microsporangium and are carried in the air currents. Okay, it will carried in the air currents and meet the opening of the ovule. Okay, so finally what happened? This pollen grain will be released from the microsporangium and then it will carried into the air currents and meet the opening of the ovules. Okay, and the pollen tube carrying the male gamete grow towards the archegonia. Okay, it will grow towards the archegonia in the ovule. Okay, and then discharge their contents near the mouth of the archegonia. This is the whole process of fertilization. Okay, and after that, this is the whole process of fertilization in which you can see pollen tube carries the male gamete grow towards the archegonia in the ovule. Okay, and then discharge their content near to the mouth of archegonia. Okay, and here after fertilization, what happened? After fertilization, zygote will be developed into an embryo. Okay, so be very clear. After fertilization, zygote develop into the embryo and then ovule will be developed into the seeds. So finally here you will observe seeds. Okay, but here naked cell will be there. Okay, so this is the difference between the angiosperm and gymnosperm, that here you will observe naked seeds. Okay, so after fertilization, zygote will develop into embryo and then ovule will develop into the seeds. So let me understand more about gymnosperm reproduction by using this diagram. So first of all, this is a sporophytic form of a gymnosperm, right? Okay, on which pollen corn will be formed. Okay, and seed corn will be formed. Seed corn is responsible for the formation of ovule and this pollen corn is responsible for microsporangium formation. Okay, then here you can see ovule and seed corn scale will be developed and then ovule, that is the result into the megasporangium or a megasporocyte. Okay, and this structure will be formed and this is mature ovule. Okay, and here you can see microsporangium will be responsible for microsporocyte. Now what happen inside this microsporocyte and ovule? Okay, this is the, you can understand, megaspore mother cell and here a microspore mother cell will be there. In both the mother cells, meiosis will occur and as a result of that meiosis, you can understand haploid cells will be formed. By using ovule, you can see here what happened. It will form the megaspore. Okay, and here microspore will be formed. So these microspore and megaspore now come in contact with each other. Okay, by air currents and then pollination will occur. Okay, that is called pollination and due to that pollination both will come in contact with each other and as a result of that fertilization will occur. Okay, and here you can see archegonia and megasporophyte will come in contact with the pollen tube. Okay, then pollen tube will act as a sperm. Here you can see sperm cells. Okay, then fertilization will occur. Okay, means both come in contact, then pollen tube will form, sperm will be there. Okay, then both will come in contact and fertilization event will occur. And as a result of that, after fertilization, zygote will be formed. Okay, and that zygote you can see here, this one, it will result into the seed. Okay, and this seed will be result into the, after germination, it will result into the whole plant. So this is the life cycle of any gymnosperms. So this is your homework for today's lecture. And before we finish this lecture, let me summarize whole topic by using one animation video. So look at this video.
It is common to find trees such as Pinus, Cedrus and Cycas growing in the cooler regions of India. All of them are gymnosperms. A group of plants in which the ovules are not enclosed by an ovary wall and remain exposed or naked before fertilization, as well as post-fertilization when they develop into seeds. These seeds germinate to give rise to new plants. If you take a look at the morphology of gymnosperms, you will notice that most of them have taproots. Moreover, in some genera, such as Pinus, the roots have a fungal association in the form of mycorrhiza, while in other genera, such as cycas, small specialized roots called coralloid roots have an association with N2-fixing cyanobacteria. The stems of a gymnosperm can be branched or unbranched, and the leaves can be compound as in cycas or simple as in ginkgo. Moreover, these leaves are well adapted to withstand extreme climatic conditions as seen in balsam fir. Its needle-like leaves reduce the surface area, which in turn reduces loss of water due to transpiration. Even the thick cuticle and sunken stomata on the leaves reduce the rate of water loss. The reproductive structure of a gymnosperm is called a strobilus or a cone. And gymnosperms have both male and female strobili. Interestingly, the strobili may be borne on the same tree as seen in Pinus, or on different trees as seen in cycas. The male strobilus has spirally arranged leaf-like structures called microsporophylls, which bear microsporangia, a structure that produces haploid microspores. A few microspores develop into male gametes called pollen grains, and the rest degenerate. Another name for male strobili is microsporangia. The female strobilus is a cluster of megasporophylls which bears ovules containing the megasporangium or nucellus. The megasporangium, surrounded by a layer of envelopes, produces haploid megaspores and a megaspore mother cell which looks distinctly different from the other megaspores. The megaspore mother cell undergoes meiosis to give rise to 4 haploid megaspores. One of these spores develops into a multicellular female gametophyte. The female gametophyte further bears 2 or 3 female sex organs called archegonia, which develop inside the ovule. The development of archegonia is followed by the fertilization process, during which pollen grains released from the microsporangium are carried by air currents and come in contact with the micropyle, an opening in the ovules. A pollen tube sprouts from the pollen grain and grows towards the archegonium, where it discharges the male gametes. These gametes fuse with the egg to form a zygote. Post-fertilization, the zygote develops into an embryo and the ovule into a seed. Interestingly, gymnosperms were the first plants to have a seed habit. Today, gymnosperms are widely used to make products such as varnish and cosmetics. They also provide us with lumber that's used to make furniture.
In next lecture, we will have revision test 1 from chapter number 3, and for that you have to prepare MCQs whatever I have given into the homework. So in homework I have already given you exercise 1 MCQs from 1 to 113. Okay, so be well prepared. Until that, goodbye.